Okay, let's officially get our third match underway here.
Swap effect. No, not. I use dueling.
Was even summoning swap, seeing some technical difficulties, but that's okay. So we're gonna keep on going here.
How do I just regular mill or just view? Yeah. Running good. Return.
So we see him. Some interesting play here. It's a set 3 pass.
Gotti.
No summon of swap apparently. Setting 4.
Go.
So we're seeing some interesting plays here right now.
That's dirty. Yeah, it's fine. I thought I was playing. Yeah, it's fine. I thought I was playing against Dinos.
Oh, I was playing Draco apparently. Cheechh changing it up here.
Targeting.
Contributing off that Disciples for Dynamite Night. Well, will Jake have a response to the summon? Because that spell will end up, regardless, popping.
No, it's not.
One of their back rows.
That one? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Well, we see Jake letting it happen, letting the summon resolve. Not willing to neg another back row. But we see another play.
Also fine.
We see the play of Heritage. So Heritage will draw 1. I guess not. Perhaps Cheechh has forgotten.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, no, he does not. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
It drew into a duality. That is quite broken. And he sees the terraforming. He's going to go for Diagram here. This is quite the play. With Diagram at 1, seeing terraforming off of the duality this is going to be quite the downward spiral.
Good.
Interesting. No response to terraforming. We better hope that Squid has a response to this activation here.
This isn't looking good. I think I gotta respond to that.
He's gonna have to respond. And he responds with a judgment, paying half his life points. But mind you, Cheechh is going second here. There'll be a lot more damage done.
How do I do -4 thing?
Again, I apologize for any technical difficulties. Cheechh, Squid hasn't used this format in quite some time of dueling books, so still getting used to the controls. So pardon any discrepancies you might notice along the way.
Okay.
We still don't see a change in life points just yet. There we go.
Got him. Alright, fuck. I kinda wish you attacked too. Yeah.
So, we do hear a confirmation that, likely Squid had something set, something of importance.
Oh shit. Draw face now, Did I main good?
So we can see Jake entering.
Good.
We see him summon the Swap Frog. Interesting. Will the dump effect be good? Will he have the Monarch's Erupt is the question. Will he have the Skill Drain? Or potentially TC Boo. There can only be one.
Yeah.
Very good. Interesting. So we all know where this leads. Likely going to dump
Some dupe.
a dupe. Yep. Activate Ronin and banish summon.
Like the one.
However, that is a set 2 Draco Apocalypse off the effect of Dynamite Knight, which was chained to Ronin. Obviously, this trap won't be able to be activated this turn, but the other 3 unknown back row are still alive.
Sure.
Jake here still thinking exactly what he plans on doing. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm getting picked apart.
Oh, and the effect is good to send Disciples
Anything on res?
off of
Okay,
Apocalypse effect.
Ronin.
So that's another back row hit. Two lost when sniped. There can only be one activated now. So the summon was already attempted.
And that's it. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I'm very curious. Would Dupe still stay banished? Yeah, it is cost. This is not good. A secondary Apocalypse. So a pop for that other monster he may summon. That's going to be 2,500 life points direct. On top of the 4,000 he took from activating Judgment. Leaving him at 1,500.
I guess.
And Drowning is being activated. This is actually quite the change in gameplay here. We will see Cheechh activating Dynamite Knight's effect. Won't be able to set that other Apocalypse he added. However, there's an unknown. Apocalypse will be able to pop another Draco card and destroy it and have all the attack and defense of everything on field. And both Apocalypses are alive. I believe Cheechh will be chaining Apocalypse to Apocalypse here. Yep, that's exactly what's going on here.
Sure. Pop him. Alright, so just send him and then I'll just set him grave. Oh, yeah. Set. Pass.
Oh boy. So set, pass, and as I suspected, swap did get popped off of Apocalypse. But there can only be one not going to help at all. Considering they are all Aquas on field.
This is pretty terrible. I'll pop it. Like I kind of need to. It's annoying. Res pop the other one. Yeah, no, it's pretty brutal. It was really expensive.
We see Cheechh have quite a lot of resources engraved, and then popping that Disciples was kind of mandatory. Although, as we saw, it unfortunately ended in Jake losing his other back row, which is quite the consequence when playing against this. Now, hopefully that card is useful. Regardless, we do see Cheechh with a live Apocalypse.
Cost for running. What are you costing? So you're costing Apocalypse, you're just gonna pop him? Okay, so they cost. Yeah, pass.
So we see Apocalypse hitting Apocalypse. So that back row is alive for this turn, but if Apocalypse does trigger again, or if Cheechh decides to summon another Draco monster, That could mean that demise of that last, the demise of the last back row there. Activating Extravagance.
Sick.
That is quite the plus here.
Yep. Draw 2 more.
And the duality as a follow-up.
Was that a monster? Okay, no, yeah, we're just gonna go game 2.
Yep, and then we see the scoop. Progressing in game 2 here. And this could be pivotal. That we hope that Jake sides in the ample back row removal. Perhaps of the banishment variety. Even though, well, then again, a well-placed Heavy Storm Duster is good. The only downside being, as we all know, Draco Traps and spells having the adverse side effect of popping back row with regard to the spells and popping monsters with regard to the traps if they're destroyed and sent from the field to the grave.
For a second, I was like, oh, well, you know, maybe one day. Decide out, you just click on it, right? Okay. It's so tough. I just like saw a bunch of dead cards game 1. Like I saw all 3 walls. There's nothing against you. I used that card to target my own stuff. Alright, I'll be starting.
So we see Jake starting things off here.
Like if you have it, yeah. I can't, like this isn't a matchup I can afford to like kind of play mood.
I don't know, I wouldn't get all the way. If I had 4, I would.
No, well it's like well you're gonna see, like you're gonna you know.
Oh well, he saw the card of demise. Now this is that is a huge play right now. That is a huge plus. Granted, one of those cards will not be able to be played, and will have to go to the graveyard. However, if he sees a paleo in that hand, it might be beneficial to have that paleo in the grave as one of the necessary discards. We'll see him setting at least one extra back row. Will another back row be set? We do see another back row be set. The face-on monster like the Duke Frog.
Yeah, that's it.
And he'll be pass, and he will discard the last card in his hand. And that's a swap. That's unfortunate.
He lost wins. It's so bad. Yeah.
Oh, and the evenly being played. This is going to be quite unfortunate. Jake does not have the response. That is going to be a -5 on Jake's part.
No.
And Jake doesn't have the response. He is going to banish 5 off of evenly. This is turning out to be quite detrimental and could cost him the match. As we all know, evenly matched.
Yeah.
Banishing until your opponent controls the same amount of cards as you do forces your opponent to banish their cards face down. And we do see Heavy Storm Duster being played on Disciples. And at this point, Disciples' pop effect really won't matter. So Heavy Storm being quite useful. We do see another 2 set by Cheech. Will he have a monster? I think he does. He did open up a monster. Which one? Ignis Heat. That is going to be quite advantageous for Cheech. Ignis now being able to plus him potentially another Draco spell. Should Jake attempt to activate anything, that 1 card in hand, hopefully being something useful. If it is a swap, he might actually be able to play here. It is not. It is a trap card. This is not looking good for Jake. And he has the waterfall on the end phase of Jake's turn. Attributing Ignis for another 2 cards. That is going to be very, very, very plus for Cheech here. And an extravagance on his turn.
Sick.
Will he have the response?
Nice.
That is... This is not looking good. And a duality. Who said Dracos couldn't play? With Demise at 1 and the diagram at 1. Evidently he's going to add the card Demise. Smart choice, netting him another 3 cards potentially if he's able to play his hand. It's going to be quite interesting. We see him summoning Inspector Border. That is detrimental. As we all know, Inspector Border not allowing any other card effects to be activated with regard to monsters. And if one is to be activated, the individual who's trying to activate it has to have at least 1 of each extra deck monster type out on the field, or monster type in general. In this case, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, XYZ, Pendulum, and Link. So, depending on the number of different types summoned on the field, different types of monsters summoned on the field, that will dictate how many effects the opponent gets. So, given that Jake here needs to use his frog effects to get other frogs in grave and other frogs out on the field, this could be quite detrimental and maybe spell the end of Jake's turn. First damage being done by Inspector Border here, 2000. We see setting of those same 2 back row. Perhaps another back row being set this turn. And Cheech changes his mind and passes. And face Heavy Storm Duster on 2 of the set back row. Now this is going to be powerful. Oh, and another extravagance.
Psycho Pop Border. I'm not seeing any power cards.
Setting another trap. This is unfortunate. Hopefully that could be a drowning. If that is a drowning, this would definitely help things. Perhaps an impermanence. Anything really could help change the tide of the situation right now. Truly the main player here, the main culprit in this torrential slope downward spiral for Jake here was that even line. Banishing 5 cards off his field, summoning the tribute, summoning the Majesty Maiden here, and activating card Demise for 2.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
So trying to get as much plus off of that card Demise as possible, setting another 2 backer. Could that be another Heavy Storm set? I don't know, it is not, but Majesty will add another Draco monster if chained to the activation of a card effect. See the setting of another backer.
Well, you Demise, you can just...
We do see
like you said, like
having
tributed
attacked.
yeah. That's fine. It's a 2,000 from Border.
Always see attributing over
0
other
response.
traps. Summon a monster here.
Sure.
The activation of Disciples, which is going to net him potentially another card here.
Resolve.
Drawing another card and recycling his resources. Disciples being quite a powerful card in the deck. One that is Very, very versatile in situations like these when you enter a grind game or just trying to net even more advantage against your opponent. Just a very, very powerful card. We see him tributing the Disciples for another monster. This could spell the end for Jake if this is any other monster. And we see the full setup. Dynamite Knight, Ignis Heat, and Majesty Maiden all on field. This is more than enough for game. I do not believe he activated. Did he activate Card Demise? I do not know. Oh, and we see an interesting sportsmanship here. Only choosing to attack. Oh, and we do see a bit of smart play here, changing one of the monster's defense position, allowing him to keep the Majesty Maiden, which will allow him to get hopefully one of the monsters that just got shuffled back by drowning. Some nice tempo going on here. Activation of a heritage. The only thing sent to grave was the Disciples this turn. I believe the Apocalypse, actually. This might net him 2 cards.
They don't have to say anything. Okay, yeah, Justin.
Yep, 2 cards. One for Apocalypse and one for Disciples here. And as we saw, Cheechh very intelligently switched his Majesty Maiden into defense, knowing that in the deck of Paleo, in Pond, they tend to play negate attacks such as Drowning, one very, very powerful trap card, underestimated in many cases. Of course, the only downside is, as we all know, with Air Force cards such as that, shuffling back the attack position monsters tends to be the one clause there that makes it slightly more fair and allows you to do exactly what Cheechh did and keep certain monsters in defense mode, pivotal monsters, in case you're a bit timid, not knowing whether or not your opponent does have the drowning, and in this case he did. Quite a smart play here made by Cheechh. At this point it seems there was some discrepancy over heritage drawing too.
There's light at the end. Shit, okay.
So, let's see what his draw was.
And it happens.
Will Jake be able to turn the tide around of this?
It's like not drawing what I need at all. Like, at all. Yeah, man, go ahead.
But he was not able to draw what he needed. This could be detrimental. Well, let's see him switching Majesty Maiden into attack mode here. Going for the attack. Could he have another drowning set? That would be quite interesting. Will he be taking the damage?
What am I doing? Yeah, I'll take 23.
And he takes the damage, not another drowning set. Putting him at 3,700 life points to Cheech's 8,000 life points. This is going quite downhill for Paleozoic Squid over here. Squid Father. So just where this takes him.
This is like, it's not what I need. I'll set this Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Setting another trap card.
Go ahead.
Interesting. And a Desires, trying to net him some more advantage here. Hoping to see another Draco monster.
Resolve.
Question is, will he see it? Perhaps see a heritage? Seeing a duality.
Jeez. Yeah.
Interesting.
Bad.
Adding True Kings.
Yeah, actually, it is pretty terrible. You're right.
I don't even care what I think. I'll take
So we see him adding a spell. activating Disciples to try and draw himself an extra card while shuffling back some of the resources lost in Grave. Question is what he banished off of the Desires is
Big
interesting.
question mark. I'll respond.
He will be
I'll banish it.
respawning with Illinoides banishing.
Matey's fine.
Dynamiscus, rather. My apologies. Banishing, I believe, a monster. One card in the field, so banish any card. In this case, I believe he chose the Disciples.
Sure.
And now another Heritage being activated. Effect a Tribute Summon. This
I'll chain.
Chaining Trap Chick. Could he have another Drowning? He already went through 2 Drownings, so even if he had a third, it would not work. Perhaps he'll chain, activate, and bring a Crackdown into play. But then Ignis can chain. Another Tribute Summon could end up going underway here.
And you, and you can't respond with, you can't respond with Ignis, yeah? Oh, you did add with Ignis? Okay. Well, I'm gonna chain Paleo.
We will be seeing Jake summoning a Paleo out of his grave here in this case. Summoning the Dynamiscus.
Right. Now resolve. You.
Bringing out Dynamiscus in defense mode, trying to protect his life points. I'm curious as to what he wants to bring out. A Torrential Tribute. Interesting here. Very interesting play.
Okay. I was like, looking more monsters. Yeah, and then activate blowing.
We will see him sacrificing his summon of his Dynamiscus in order to blow up the entire field. Using that Torrential Tribute set off of Trap Trick. Quite an interesting play here.
Yes.
Potentially buying him 1 turn. Drawing 2 off of Heritage now because of the 2 blown up monsters getting into the diagram.
Sure. Well, you're a contributor with Disciples.
Finish this
Or with
one.
Heritage.
Kind of chips. Samba. Well, that diagram is going to be very powerful here, allowing him to add another card, another monster card, in fact.
Yeah.
And I see his resolution, as one would expect, is fine, given there's no other cards in play here on Jake's side of the field. Curious as to what he'll add. Adding a True King's Return to hand.
Okay, start.
There's an adding the spell or trap on activation.
Go.
Oh, it's okay. Never mind. Akohocha. We'll be seeing the return of our Ignis Heat here.
Yeah.
Off of True King's return. The summoning of Majesty Maiden now.
Yeah, you got it.
And that spells the game here.
No pot of extravagance, no more.
And that ends round 2, ladies and gentlemen, of our Play in a Day tournament. Stay tuned for our next stream of the next next match here. And yeah, stay tuned for more content.